Let's get ready to go into picks and bans for game number 2. Let's see how Strictly Business wants to change it up, because for me, if I'm on SB, I'm saying, okay, we could have won that game. We just have to change a couple things in the draft and get back to work.
The Odin cages was like hit or miss on the side of Return Gaming. It found a lot of members being caged, but there were some points in times where Strictly Business played into it, but they only were able to hold on to it because of they themselves popping the shell and the meditation outside of the cage, being able to go back into these team fights. And without those relics for the next engagement, that's where Return really took advantage of Strictly Business.
The re-engage tools by Return were just a little bit too much for SB to handle. The SB, they thought the Scotty was the biggest issue for Fatal Ghost, and I can't really say I blame him. He absolutely killed it on the Hunter, so they're going to ban it away. Same pick early on for Return. It's going to be Awilix for oMarsleezy. SB going to answer with Ymir and Zeus. Definitely more pressure in that mid lane with the Zeus compared to the Zhong.
And especially if Return go for a very similar style with gods that don't really have those jumps over the walls.
Yeah.
Medusa not going to be able to go over those Ymir walls. Have to be careful with the positioning. And I like the idea and the mindset trying to synergize this kind of control with the Ymir and the damage output with the Zeus.
But again, the Odin cage could be big here, most likely for TheYungHomie, but could be going over to Cdot in that solo lane. Ratatoskr going to be the selection there for Reminisst, which fits his build that he seems to always have the most success with, and that is early game pressure. The Hunbats was fine, but it wasn't the same sort of performance that we're used to seeing out of him on gods like the Awilix.
Absolutely, but either way, with this Ratatoskr for Strictly Business, this is going to be some global pressure. In the last game, we didn't see any pressure being dealt to Fatal Ghost in the start of the game, so this could be a point in time where we see Strictly Business start looking to put pressure in that duel lane.
Nikwid actually going to use that warrior in the solo lane. I just assumed that Ymir was for him because he plays so many Guardians over there in the short lane, but we're good to get to see him on the more traditional warrior. Sobek, the selection again, could be for the TheYungHomie or it could be for the solo laner. But Sobek's got a pretty good matchup against Bellona,
yeah,
right?
It's a very comfortable matchup for Sobek. Obviously, you can cancel out that bludgeon with a tail flip, with the pluck as well, depending on what you want to do if you're more comfortable with it. And there's a lot of damage output, but Bellona will still have the slight advantage if you do have that passive, being able to hit multiple minions at the same time.
Of course, plus the Scourge, Bellona can usually just level the Scourge and say, yeah, interrupt my bludgeon all you want, I'll just clear the wave with my other wave clearing ability. Ullr could be the last selection here for Keji. A little bit more execution oriented, I would say, for Strictly Business composition this time around, but certainly a well-rounded one.
Well, with the control that Ymir can provide, that's going to give enough time for the Ullr to get off the damage that he really needs to. Returns draft is complete, so is Strictly Business. Let's head on to game number 2 and see if Return can close out this set.
With a 2-0 victory, that would be really, really big for them. That could move them up and out of that basement here in the North American SCL, moving right into LAN. And that, I mean, if you're gonna win 3 games all season, if I'm on Return, I would like them to be the last 3 games before LAN.
Timing is very important. We look at the death timings in general in Smite all the time. You know, whenever it's a 1-for-1 trade to start things off, you know, who gets the first kill bounty versus, okay, you get the next kill, though, about 3 minutes later down the road, and now what do you lose in return for that? And this is the point in time where Return, they're getting that confidence.
Chillvanus is dancing to Teep's music underneath the tower.
This is the best thing I've ever seen all day.
This is awesome. No, don't. Why'd you stop, Chillvanus? Dance again. The beats are still going. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dog. The party's still happening. Another party might happen in the mid lane. oMarsleezy hanging around. But you can see how passive Strictly Business is being this time around. And I love this adaptation from oMarsleezy. The call is, yeah, you probably can't get a kill here. Okay, I'll just steal away the enemy red buff instead. You really don't lose anything from this.
No, not at all. And oMarsleezy is going to be able to help out his mid lane and the Hunter. In fact, there is no rotation being assisted in the red buff. Immediately going for those left side mid harpies just to capitalize the farm. Fatal Ghost is going to get into a huge lead here over this Ullr on Keji.
Yeah, not only does he get the enemy red buff, but the experience from the purple as well. oMarsleezy could look to loop around here if he really wants to, but Keji may have realized that something fishy was going on in his jungle. Gonna greet oMarsleezy with an axe as soon as he walks into the dual lane. On the right-hand side, though, Reminisst and Nikwid take that pressure that they've got in that dual, or in the solo lane, that can sometimes act as a dual lane, and invade not only the enemy speed, but the enemy blue buff as well.
It's always a great timing to invade the Ullr at level 1 before he gets that jump available, but sniffing it out was Keji, and Chillvanus and Teep sniffing out oMarsleezy's positioning also at level 1, but regardless of all that, Strictly Business still do a good job, at least at holding on for a little while. Return, though, very comfortably getting a slight edge, at least in the experience department, despite the gold being relatively even here.
But right now, Strictly Business might start to get back in the lead totally. They still got 2 buffs on that right-hand side to take, as well as those fire elementals, so SB may end up right on top, and when it's all said and done, both buffs invaded on opposite sides of the map.
I'm seeing a little race here of the level 5 categories. Reminisst trying to hit level 5 before oMarsleezy, but on the flip side, Fatal Ghost in the dual lane trying to get that ultimate over Keji, going to be doing a lot of damage.
But the difference is that Reminisst has been taking waves from Nickwood in the solo lane, whereas oMarsleezy has not from Fatal Ghost in that dual lane. There you can see it. Fatal Ghost hits level 5 when Keji, he's still level 3. If you're Fatal Ghost, you zone this wave, right?
I would have. Personally, just to be able to deny even more experience, but Reminisst, he's in the sky, he's trying to help out his mid laner, but it's not fast enough.
Chillvanus gonna fall for the first blood. Reminisst joins the party, but I don't know if he's liking the tunes that are being played, as he's got to get out of there before he's the next victim of return. An easy first blood, taking advantage of that immobile guardian, Ymir.
Not even having the defenses or the health available, going for the shell as the first relic, surprisingly enough, instead of that meditation. Could have maybe bought a little bit more time for Reminisst to make that rotation, because at this point, gods aren't doing that much damage where that percent damage mitigation is making a true impact, whereas the health you get back from meditation is going to be more beneficial.
I think this is Chillvanus looking more towards the mid stages of the game, though. Not necessarily this level 5 engagement in the mid lane, but Shell is so notoriously powerful up against Zhong. You just give your entire team percent damage mitigation whenever Zhong opens up that bag, especially whenever he's probably going to be the target inside that Odin cage, likely alongside Mr. Teep. That's really there to potentially defend against that combination, but I don't disagree with you. Maybe meditation is just the better call in terms of waiting out that Odin cage and then popping the heal right afterwards.
It all depends on what you really want to do and the timing of it, because supports are usually the last ones to get to level 12, and without the shell to negate the ultimate from Clow on the Zhong, like you mentioned before, that's a huge factor for Chillvanus, and this is what his decision-making process kind of happened. But don't forget also, Ymir has one of the highest health per level in the game.
Without a doubt. Definitely gets very, very tanky very, very quickly. On the left side, Fatal Ghost continuing to push his advantage, though Keji has caught up in terms of levels at least a little bit. Speed buff stolen away once more on the right. oMarsleezy doing something we don't see most junglers do, and being okay with losing that speed buff consistently as long as his left side is ahead.
Well, 2 levels ahead for only 1 level deficit. Definitely a huge advantage. TheYungHomie catching Mr. Teep. The rains are firing down as well as the beats, and here comes Fatal Ghost with that Petrify. 2 easy kills for return.
And oMarsleezy cleans up the last one there on a Chillvanus. Great bird bomb and cage coming out of TheYungHomie, and that's what wards do for you as far as what they can provide in your games. TheYungHomie sees 2 members walking all by themselves into the jungle and immediately hits Teep with the bird bomb cage combination. Again, TheYungHomie just looking very, very comfortable on this Odin pick. I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see it banned away, but with how well Fatal Ghost played on the Scotty in game 1, I don't necessarily blame SB for assuming they can handle the Odin and banning away the Hunter instead.
I love the mindset of TheYungHomie, just the utility support style that he brings to return here. He was the former coach from former Cloud's team onto Team Allegiance earlier on. He has the tools at his disposal to really help his team get into a winning position. And with gods like Odin, as well as in conjunction with gods like the Zhong being played on Cloud, this is the kind of synergy that teams can really take advantage of.
And not only that, but he was the solo laner for this team for the majority of this split. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we see Return start to have more success when he moves out of that solo lane and into the support role. Definitely a little bit more, it just seems so much more comfortable there in terms of where he can help the team and peel for the team.
Having this 2-level advantage over Chillvanus on the receiving end of a bad time, this immobile Ymir just now finishing off the reinforced shoes, and this is not a bad idea here, stacking up that protections, both physical and magical, as well as having that 20% crowd control reduction, should be able to hold on for a little bit longer.
Not only that, but it's great up against Zhong because there's just plenty of dot damage in Zhong's kit, so you're guaranteed to stack up that reinforced Greaves passive. Strictly Business, they know what's happening this time. They've got the ward coverage, not making the same mistake twice as oMarsleezy continues to try and put pressure on the left, but Reminisst is here. It's going to return about 3/4 of oMarsleezy's health bar right back onto him, but again, Fatal Ghost is just so big in terms of levels right now, level 9, and immediately bursts Reminisst before he can get up into the Cosmos. Another kill goes Return's way.
Great timing by YoungHomie on the shield. And also, in waiting on the jump, he elected not to use it, recognizing that the bubble would pop for the damage before the Ratatoskr would go up into the sky. It was another great kill opportunity for Return Gaming. And I love what they're doing here, not going for the Gold Fury this whole time. We saw earlier on, after those 2 kills, Reminisst tried to check for the Gold Fury using his ultimate, but that wasn't the case. Return are playing very slow and very safe after their kills.
OMarsleezy's had enough of losing his speed buff. He said, all right, Fatal Ghost, I got you a lead. I stole a couple red buffs for you. It's my turn to get my buff on the right-hand side, and he'll do just that. Clow gets initiated on in the middle lane. There's the Lightning Storm, but the Lightning Pop not enough to do the damage to Clow, who turns around and is able to clean up Teep. Reminisst can't find him underneath the tier 1 tower, and now Chillvanus is going to fall.
Cloud's not done. He wants to find the car through the wall. He doesn't get it, though. Reminisst still gets taken down. Cloud outplaying Reminisst 3 for nothing. Cloud probably shouting at the top of his lungs after that one.
Oh yeah, you just know Cloud definitely one of the louder players whenever he makes it here to LAN. Makes it all the much more exciting whenever these constantly bros come here to Atlanta to play. Definitely a lot of energy whenever they're in the building, and certainly a lot of energy right now for Return, who are up 7-0 up against the 2nd seed here in North America. And that engagement, I love the ultimate usage by Clow there, just for the protections whenever he gets hit by that Zeus ultimate. Not a lot of Zhong players would be that quick on the reaction in terms of using their ultimate defensively like that.
It also prevents knockbacks as well, so not having that effect of the Ratatoskr ultimate. Popping the Aegis was also very well done by Cloud, keeping the survival, and more importantly was recognizing that, hey, I can get back into this fight. I'm not done yet. I'm going to go back in, take full advantage of my ultimate, still ticking. Trying to dive that back line into the tower was Reminisst, just unfortunately unsuccessful in doing so, and after that, a 3 for nothing for Return, but still being very patient. They don't go for the Gold Fury. Instead, they go for the Oracles. They get the farm in the lanes that they need, denying some more golden experience to Strictly Business. Then they go and grab their own buffs, and this is why they have this 3,000 experience lead.
YoungHomie's in the middle of 4 members of Strictly Business, and they're too scared to fight him. Reminisst forced to go up after the cage coming out of Homie, looking for the 2-man knockup, but he'll find it. There's a Lightning Storm, but Fatal Ghost has already killed Chillvanus. Reminisst gets SB on the board, but Clow exercises Teep's demons underneath the tower. 3 for 1, could be 4 for 1 as Omarsleezy's looking for it.
No.
It's actually going to be 3 for 2. Omarsleezy is not able to do what Cloud did to Reminisst. Instead, it's this time and the other way around.
Trying to show off a little bit too much was Omarsleezy. What turned into be a 3 for 1, only sacrificing YoungHomie. Omarsleezy lost his own life, trying to make it a 4 for 1, but instead, enough timing in a window for Fatal Ghost. Level 13 on this Medusa. It's not even 10 minutes into the game, grabbing the tier 1 mid.
You would sometimes when you're playing a game and you're like, why are we so far behind? And you press tab and you see the enemy hunter is level 13 at 9 minutes. You're like, what the hell happened? This is one of those games right now for SB.
And it's not necessarily the fact that there's solo kills going on in the dueling. Keji's only 1 death, and that's because of the team fights earlier on. There's just been too many invades. This Ullr that's been left alone the whole game, losing purple and red buff, not to mention back harpies every now and then. He can't get any farm on himself, and he's been getting zoned out of waves. He's been losing gold repeatedly under the tower. The net worth between these two players is just astronomical.
Yeah, look at the player damage too. Keji all the way at the bottom there underneath everyone on both teams. This Ullr that really wants to try and get pretty high up on those player damage early on because of the high base damage on both his bladed arrow and the hail of arrows, but not been able to find it thus far. YoungHomie really likes to cage Chillvanus and Mr. Teep, but the wall from Chillvanus will block off the warrior support.
Not able to find it this time around, but still zoning them that far away is going to allow Return to start up this gold here, lurking in the water, easily confirming it, but Reminisst in the sky.
Looking for it. Clow stepping forward with the YoungHomie, and the support is the focus. Lightning Storm comes out, and Teep immediately blows up the support. Fatal Ghost is just too much to handle right now, though. Totally Clow running for his life, walled off off and put down Nikwid with number 4 for SB, but OMarsleezy finds Chillvanus with the gravity surge and then jumps forward looking for more.
Great Scourge, though, preventing the hits onto Mr. Teep into the feather step. Nikwid doing a good job turning this team fight all around. Nice little dash from Fatal Ghost, preventing the bludgeon damage, but still, it was a 2 for 2 after the Gold Fury. Normally, after you secure objectives like that, you want to be able to just reset and look to disengage and taking away the victory. You know, you invest a lurking in the water just to be able to confirm that objective.
And you saw a little bit of a disconnect there from Team Return. Everyone but Clow and TheYungHomie was backing up, saying, we got the Gold Fury, we used an ultimate, cool, that's OW. But Clow always wants to continue to take those engagements. TheYungHomie was on the same page as his mid laner. The rest of Return, unfortunately, was not. So, despite the Gold Fury going their way, SB are able to fight back a little bit and Return 2 for 2 onto Return. Like you mentioned, though, in that team fight, Nikwid, this is the first time we've seen him in one of these engagements. Certainly a light in the darkness for SB right now.
Ooh, Fatal Ghost eating an axe, forcing the purification beats to prevent the combination. Great little curve by Keji. Still a 3-level disadvantage for this Ullr player. Now finishing off his Transcendence stack, is going to be able to try to catch up to Fatal Ghost, who's been doing such a great job taking advantage of these buff invades and now having the Aussie to his name. And that's a big power spike play, now having more penetration, attack speed, and the lifesteal.
Yeah, it's going to be impossible for Keji to box Fatal Ghost in lane, though I think we've already passed that stage whenever you're down about 3 levels. Nikwid with an interesting build in this scenario was working towards that Breastplate of Valor, but decided instead he needed that Mark of the Vanguard, at least in that last engagement. What do you think about this sort of build path?
It's a great timing and a power spike play to survive a lot of the damage over time. You know, Cloud with the Ghost and the card, putting himself in a 1v4 spot is Nikwid. Going to get plucked back in, but he's not really afraid. Eagle rallying back into the safety of his own teammates. The meditation even being used by himself.
And Fatal Ghost has made the rotation, and that's why you see Return playing so far forward. There's the cage once more on a Chillvanus. Lightning Storm down to try and help out the support, and it's actually OMarsleezy who gets blown up first. Clow able to answer back onto Chillvanus, but Nikwid, no ultimate, nowhere to go. He's locked down in that blue buff. Cdot able to clean him up for his first kill of the game. 2 for 1 in favor of Return, and the objectives are on their mind.
OMarsleezy needs to be a little bit more patient about when he takes some of these engagements. Normally an assassin has to be able to wait for the initiation, look for somebody out of position, and then go for the follow. But either way, Return with a favorable exchange, 2 for 1, and now capitalizing off of the 4-on-3 power plates to secure themselves 500 gold in the way of the tier 1 right-hand tower.
Fatal Ghost has no fear whatsoever, but Keji is starting to hurt a little bit. He might start thinking twice about eating those axes for free. Either way, Return, they snag away that 500 gold in the solo lane, not only getting them that gold, but a little bit of map pressure as well.
Ooh, the respawn timer from Chillvanus is going to stun out Cloud. Reminisst through the Cosmos, trying to dive that backline. Aegis was used by Cloud, but instead going on to Fatal Ghost.
There's the Aegis out of him as well, and Reminisst is immediately paying for his transgressions. TheYungHomie not quite able to close the distance with the Gungnir's might, but Cdot down into that lurking in the waters. Chillvanus walls himself off from the team. 2 dead quickly there for SB. Nikwid still locked in here. He's used Eagle's Rally. No defense available for him. No meditation either. Plucked and dropped OMarsleezy with number 6 out of 17 for Team Return, who took that re-engagement happily from Strictly Business.
Great play by Return. Now the respawn from Chillvanus was just well-timed, considering he was only level 9 at the time. Means that he's going to get back into the thick of things very quickly, and was well off in terms of the Ymir wall, just slightly off the mark. Still being able to squeeze right behind that portal demon was Cloud. And yet again, another disconnect is Reminisst, who saw Cloud with the Aegis already procced, could have still went on him because he went onto the first branch. He still has 2 additional branches to use all that timing to really assess the situation before diving the backline, but instead trying to go into Fatal Ghost because of the fact that his purification beads was not available.
But, and again, Fatal Ghost is just so farmed in this matchup. You can understand why the aggression was onto him. Aggression onto Mr. Teep right now, who drops the party and gets dropped as fast as the lights showed up. Clow, just with that exorcism, man, Zhong is doing so much damage right now. OMarsleezy might get caught out in the jungle. Featherstep was nice, but not nice enough. So Reminisst gets at least one more kill for SB.
A little bit too greedy was oMarsleezy. He wanted to recheck the red buff timer out of Strictly Business just to see if it was available or not, but the rest of his teammates was looking at the bigger picture, trying to go for the Gold Fury, despite the fact that Return was doing such a good job consistently stripping away these red and purple buffs out of Strictly Business. There's a point in time in a window where you do have to go for the Gold Fury instead of engaging past that neutral line in the map.
Well, Gold Fury started up by SB. Return do have the Oracle Vision. Fatal Ghost has that Petrify ready to go. Wall comes up. Would have been nice to block that Petrify, but it was a little too early. Nikwid, he's on a different page than everyone from SB. Pages onto him from Cloud, but not enough to kill him. Wind comes down onto Reminisst, and Chillvanus once more. He might set up a room in this cage right now. He's in it every single time. Cdot picks him up. The wall prevents the toss back onto Chillvanus, but not enough to save his life. YoungHomie is able to put himself on the board for the first time this game. Again, Return just a little bit too far ahead for SB to be taking any sort of even engagement.
The combination between the Odin, the Zhong, and the Sobek just doing so much wonders here. Cloud getting another kill under his belt. He's been 9-1 and 11, quietly getting all these kills under his belt. Just no problem at all. Very far ahead now, 5 levels ahead of Mr. Teep.
And look where he is on the player damage. Usually Zeus, even when behind, is near the top of those charts just because of the easy damage that he can confirm with that Chain Lightning ultimate combination. Clow is even topping that of Mr. Teep. Absolutely killer game out of the mid laner, showing why everyone thinks of him in terms of Zhong and why we saw SB try and take it away from him in game 1.
Return putting their foot to the gas pedal, doing a great job maximizing their lead. 11,000 gold now. This is a much different story compared to the last game, because last game it was about a 2,500 to 4,000 gold lead around the 20 to 25 minute mark, but this time there's no stopping Return. They're able to get any objective they really want.
Up above that dreaded 10,000 gold mark, closer to 11 than 10. Mr. Teep only level 12. Chillvanus, he's had 8 deaths in his 18 minutes. It's been a tough time for Strictly Business. Game 1, Tully, I think that part of that game could be chalked up to how the picks and bans went, specifically necessarily in that mid lane. Teep just didn't look comfortable on the Zhong. What do you think went wrong this time for SB?
They just couldn't really stop the momentum of oMarsleezy being able to invade that dual lane repeatedly over and over again. And then once these little skirmishes did happen in the jungle, we saw just how much of a difference factor Fatal Ghost was in these teamfights versus Keji.
Yeah, level 17 for Fatal Ghost, who definitely took that lead that oMarsleezy provided and ran with it. All of SB trying to run from YoungHomie, who's the big bad Odin with the cage. Chillvanus is so nervous about getting caged, and I can't blame him. He's seen the inside of it one too many times this game. Return still looking to take the fight instead of the objective. Reminisst going to be the one in the cage, tries to get up through the Cosmos and will do so successfully. Chillvanus and Nikwid looking to re-engage. Nice wall out of the Ymir. Reminisst still looking for the target. Lightning Storm raving literally as Reminisst finds 3 with the knockup, but Chillvanus falls once more. oMarsleezy and Fatal Ghost are able to duo down Mr. Teep. Nikwid, nice attempt out of the bludgeon, hitting 4, but it's just not enough. Fatal Ghost picks up number 5. 15 out of the 25 kills are between Clow and Fatal Ghost, who have both had phenomenal games. Keji trying to answer back onto oMarsleezy, will not be able to do so. Fatal Ghost able to notch another one in his belt. YoungHomie's trolling Reminisst right now. Should have Raven Shield up pretty soon.
Tried to outplay him by jumping into place, but Reminisst gets slowed. He misses the jump, and that's going to be a quick game number 2. Surrender by Strictly Business, 26-6 for Return.
20 minutes on the dot. Cdot and the rest of Return are able to notch their first 2-0 victory of the entire split, Tully. And what a great time to do it.
Absolutely. oMarsleezy looked so on fire there. That second game and the first game, the way he positioned himself at level 1. The first time he found the first blood, second time around he set up Fatal Ghost for all these invades on the red buff and the purple buff, getting so far ahead of Keji.
Well, Fatal Ghost had a great set across the board, not only because of the pressure provided to him in game 2, but even game 1 when he was really left alone for the majority of the game with this Scotty. Though Scotty's never alone. She always has Caldier with her.
Absolutely. You definitely want to be able to try to look for some more assistance, whether it's more than just your dog. And because of all the pressure that Fatal Ghost had playing the Scotty, Strictly Business elected to ban it out at the first phases, giving up the Odin.
Clearly not enough, though, as Fatal Ghost continued his role into Game 2 on the Medusa. Either way, I mean, we've talked so much about, myself particularly, about North American hunters and their maturation in the SCL. Fatal Ghost is one of these newcomers to the league that is just making it really, really easy for teams to find wins.
Yeah, what a shot by him earlier on the right-hand side, finding a double kill with one arrow, and yet again, Return looking so strong in the later stages here as we're closing out the SCL spring split.
And this, again, right before the land, getting yourself a little bit of confidence. Caldier knocking down the Lion there, even in the Titan room. Either way, Strictly Business, they've got to find a way to bounce back from this, especially after they just got ran over so hard by Clow on this Zhong Kui.
Didn't have an answer necessarily for the Zhong Kui player right off the bat. Chillvanus was the heavy focus fire of a lot of these engagements. Could have potentially looked for an earlier mark of the Vanguard from him, which would have negated a lot of damage from Cloud to begin with. We saw Nick would go for that path before finishing off that breastplate of Allen.
This was the real fun play out of Cloud, was able to turn it around despite the pressure onto him. Again, just so comfortable on this god. And with Zhong Kui, I think with the recent buffs, Tolly, we could definitely see a big resurgence out of this mid laner.
Absolutely, especially considering that Shell is just not the same as it used to be up in Season 3. And especially if you can shut down the support player that doesn't pick up Shell at level 1, you can truly take advantage of all that area of effect damage.
He's got plenty of it. Clow is all over the map in Game 2 on this Zhong. Really strong play out of all of Return, basically. We're able to notch their first 2-0 victory of the split. But now